we could have it reversed. It would the opening would be here. You just open it up, and there would be me.
There would be you. The whole episode answering from the mailbox.
So disturbing.
Well, with that image in all of our minds,
thank goodness
maybe
we don't
should
use
close
animation.
it out.
Welcome to Classical Etc. You're in the studio with Memoria Press.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Classical Etc. I'm Jessica Aboud, and we are the core four today, Paul, Tanya, and Martin. And it is not just any old Classical Etc. episode today. It is the mailbag. That is why we've got this mailbox. And I'm excited.
Well, I hope so, because there are other feelings you could have about this. You know.
You are not going to rain on my parade, button.
I'm just going to say I feel safe from Martin because of the mailbox.
Oh, it's like a barrier.
It's a barrier.
And here I am stuck over here with him.
You know,
funny.
Part of your job.
Well,
I should be paid better than.
oh. Well, listeners, you asked and we will answer. You answered our request to send us a bunch of questions, and we will do our best in the next few moments to answer as many as we can in rapid fire. Hopefully we can get through a bunch.
We're not very good with
Rapid
that.
fire.
We are really rapid fire people, but the people have asked some really good questions, and we want to get to them.
Okay,
So we'll try.
do our best.
We'll try. Before we get to listener questions, any good end of summer reading going on? Martin?
End of summer. I don't read seasonally.
No.
I just
Oh, I do.
do you?
Yes, because
Oh.
I'm so busy in the summer, I can't read serious
Well, okay.
things.
Well, I mean the amount which you read, but I don't select books on the basis of what season it is. So I'm still reading The Idiot by Dostoevsky, which it's just fascinating to me. And then I'm doing Andrew Pudewa and I do a seminar where we discuss great and good books. We did that at our conference last year. I do it at the GHC conferences, homeschool conferences. So we're doing it on utopian and dystopian literature,
Really?
which means I don't really like that kind of literature all that much. I'll do like 1984. I like Brave New World, those two. But there's all kinds of other dystopian and utopian books out there, and I have not read them. So I'm going to have to read like 5 or 6 books in preparation for this new.
Are you
thing.
reading A Canticle for Leibowitz? That was Cheryl's favorite.
No, actually, but that might be one I might suggest because I have read that one. So that would be one less I'd have to read.
Yeah, that was her favorite. I did not like
But
it.
I picked up one of the ones he wants to read, which is called Magister Ludi, The Glass Bead Game by Hermann Hesse. And I started it 2 days ago, and it's fascinating. A lot of philosophy in there. Hermann Hesse was a German writer.
I feel like most dystopian and utopian novels have a lot of philosophy in them.
Yes, this is more explicit though. So I'm actually really enjoying that one. So yeah, that's what I'm reading.
Okay. Tanya?
I do read seasonally. But this summer that didn't work out for me somehow. I read Moby Dick and The Father's Tale, 2 huge books. And I was thinking this morning, why did that happen to me? But right now I'm back to my seasonal light reading, and I'm still reading the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, and I do love it. So I'm almost finished with volume 5, and I've got 3 more to go, and she's still writing them. But I'm also reading Anne of Green Gables for our Memoria Press book group. So every time I reread that book, it's just so charming and just so well written. Because I thought I'm really enjoying these books that I'm reading that are light, but then I pick up Anne of Green Gables and think these just sing along. I mean, they're just beautiful.
I've not read. I don't think
beautiful
I read
prose.
the first 2, I think, and then I saw the dramatization of it. That was at
yes.
Yeah. So I haven't read a lot of those. I really need to go back.
You just to read the first one again. It's just
they're
so
wonderful.
charming.
Yeah, they are.
Well, I started Anne of Green Gables this morning, and I already don't like Mrs. Rachel Lynde. But-
well, you're not meant to like Mrs.
I
Rachel
know,
Lynn.
She's a
I know,
busybody.
I know.
But it's okay. Anne gets her own back.
Yeah, I was like, ugh, couldn't stand her.
I do, yeah. I love in the beginning where I'm reading it too, where she was described as ferreting out the
Oh,
information,
yes.
and you can just
Yes.
see a little ferret. You know, I
Yes.
love it. That's how I
Yes.
picture her now, just a little ferret.
Yeah.
But also, Marilla, like there was the characterization of Marilla knowing, she knew Rachel would show up,
Yes.
right? And it's that small town, like you know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
You don't have to wonder, is so and so going to stick their nose in this? You know, so and so is going to stick their nose in it.
Mhm.
And it's always Mrs. Rachel Lynn.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm
That's
also
your book?
reading Boone. I think that's what it's called. Boone.
Oh, Daniel Boone.
Daniel Boone.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you know the author? I think
I don't
read
know.
that
It was free on Audible.
Yeah,
and my
I think
friend
I read
recommended
that
it.
one
And
couple years
it's, I mean, it's good. It's very good. It's in the introduction was interesting because they're trying to push back on the popular understanding of who he was based on Disney and other things, other TV shows. And so say like, this is who Daniel Boone really was. And so it's a great Kentucky history.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, shall we get to the mailbag?
Of course.
Okay, let's take our first question. Just taking the one on top. Let's see. Okay. This one is from Suzanne. And Suzanne writes and wants to know, she says, I'm talking with my friend group regarding reading the ancient philosophers. Is there an order that is best to read them? Or read them by category, i.e., Greek and Roman, or chronological?
This
Thank
one's
you.
for you all. I have no idea.
Oh, I was going to ask for your input, Tanya. I thought that'd be great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was really excited to hear what she would say.
Yeah.
Well, I read all the famous men books. So I had one chapter on Socrates, one chapter on Plato.
That's probably not a bad way to go.
Is that enough?
I would probably advocate for a chronological approach for the ancients. I mean, that's what she said,
Yeah.
ancient, right?
Yes, she said ancient. Ancient. So start with Greece.
Yeah, I mean, I would start with Greece because the philosophers are like, as you go through time, they're answering questions of what the prior philosopher brought up.
But is it easier to start with? So I've heard or read or somebody said that, so Plato, Aristotle basically was a student of Plato,
Correct.
right? And so somebody said, and I don't know who, that if you just start with Aristotle, you basically get Plato.
Oh, I think Dan Scheffler would have your head for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Um,
you really do need to start with Plato.
Well, he's-
I mean, I would start-
where would you start? Would you start with the Republic?
No, I would. I mean, the
Well, you're not going to go back to the pre-Socratic philosophers, are you?
Sure, I would.
Oh, I don't. I think you need
Because-
something that's readable.
Oh,
That's a
Oh,
good
no, but the-
Introduction
doorway
to
in.
Philosophy course. That's
yeah,
what
the
they
course
need.
I wrote. Yes, that's
that
the course you
still
need.
is not out.
I would start with Plato's Apology,
Mm.
and because it gives you all the, and then I would actually probably move back because
Well, that's
there's
exactly
things that
how
he's
my
going to
course
talk
is.
about.
That's exactly how my course is
Oh,
designed.
well,
Actually,
very good.
We need to
well,
get
it
that
actually
out
starts
there.
with the first page of metaphysics.
Mhm.
Aristotle's metaphysics. It starts about wonder and
Mhm.
what are we doing. Then we read the Apology to kind of set the stage of what we're doing in philosophy.
Mhm.
Then we go to the pre-Socratics and say, okay, what's this fundamental question that's being asked, which is, what's the first cause? That's their question. What's the first cause? What is the underlying cause of all things?
Mm.
And that's what the pre-Socratics start with, and they come at it from a very materialist perspective. And the Platonic breakthrough is, no, there's a thing called form, and then the Aristotelian breakthrough is that form is actually immanent in the thing. It exists in the thing. It's not something that exists in the ether, if you will. And what the Christians do is they actually come back and they take Plato and Aristotle and find a synthesis in God being the first cause, that form being immanent in the thing, but also existing in the mind of God. That's imprecise, but it gives you an idea of kind of the trajectory. And that's why I say chronological, because I think if we are all fundamentally materialists in sort of our basic orientation because we're incarnate and bodily, and that's where the pre-Socratics start. And then as they think more deeply about this question, you end up in an immaterial reality, which is God.
So you said Aristotle is the one that said it was in a thing?
Yes.
So what thing did he mean it was in?
So
A table?
So the idea of a tree, so Plato says that form of a tree exists in, let's just say the heavens.
Yeah, I was going to. Okay. For purposes of our audience, you should say heaven.
It exists in heaven, okay?
Mm.
And
would he say the same thing about an inanimate object?
Yes, as long as it's a natural object, right? So, well, as opposed to a man-made.
So not plastic.
I do feel like we're kind of getting off track
So let me just
like we got it.
Well, where do you start?
I know, but
okay.
We are not able to do this.
But what I'm saying is, she just like she wants to know the order.
I know she does.
Chronological. But
we're like.
Let me just tie this up for Tanya real quick.
Okay, thank you.
So the tree for Plato, the idea of tree or the form of tree exists in the heaven. The actual tree down here on earth just participates in that. For Aristotle, he says, no, that form is actually in the tree down here.
That's so fascinating, really.
Yeah, it's very, yeah.
I worked with you for 15 years. And I never thought that would come out of your mouth.
But they don't have access to your philosophy program, right? So, I mean,
not yet, but it is coming.
Okay.
It is so
I have
close.
done everything I need to do. It is in the proofing stages.
It is very close.
Right. Okay.
So she should just wait on it.
Okay. Well, but what I would just say is that Plato is the best writer. Okay.
Sure.
And that's why he's the best entree into the philosophical world.
Yes.
Right. And so you start with the Apology.
Yes.
You say, yeah. And that's where I would start because it lays out some of the real basic issues. Now, when your book comes out and they know where in Aristotle to go for the first reading. But yeah, Plato he's a good writer.
Yes. Plato's much easier to read, but I would if you've never done any philosophy, I would start with a book that is a history of philosophy.
Yes.
So Copleston's History of Philosophy.
Francis Copleston.
Frederick.
I'm sorry, Frederick.
But he's got, I don't know what, 10, 11 volumes or something. But even just start with the first one. It's all ancient. It's Greece and Roman.
And we sell them all.
We do. And
some of them we can't get anymore.
Volumes 1 and 2 are hard to get. And I am making a phone call tomorrow to try to
And can I make an even better suggestion? Peter Kreif's. Peter Kreif's, the story, it was called The Story of Philosophy. I think Word on Fire puts this out. It's in a little beautiful set of books.
I don't know that one.
I think it's called The Story of Philosophy. Peter Kreeft is the best explainer.
What's that other one? Socrates' Children.
Oh, it's Socrates. I think that's what it's called. Actually, that's the title.
Okay, that's
Socrates' Children. And it's several slim volumes, but he gets that complicated stuff into a form that a non-technical person can understand. And that's like Frederick Copleston light.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So depending on how deep you want to go.
That's right.
Okay. Well, Suzanne, we hope we answered your question and gave you some resources and some food for thought.
And then we didn't totally confuse you.
Here's our next question from Sierra. She wants to know why a student would take the CLT over the SAT. And this is a question about standardized testing. Most of our listeners are probably familiar with the SAT and the ACT. Those are nationally standardized tests that a lot of high schoolers take, both of them, or at least one of them. And in recent years, the classical learning test has come out and a lot of students take it. So she wants to know, would you take the CLT over the SAT?
You're on the board of the CLT, aren't you?
I was going to, I am on their board of advisors. And I believe in what they're doing because, there's a bunch of reasons, but one of them is just that when you take the SAT, they're these made up texts, that you're supposed to, analyze and give answers about and all that. The CLT takes classic literature. The samples in their test are real classic literature, and because they are wanting to kind of push schools back toward good literature. And so I think, and they're doing other things in terms of the way, they're more technical in the way they do the tests so that they're more accurate. But yeah, I would use the CLT.
And it's accepted at many universities now,
Yes.
right?
Oh,
In
yeah.
fact, somebody just told me
I
that
think it's accepted almost everywhere.
I can't remember who it was, that their child took both tests and that using the SAT scores, they got accepted and got an academic package. But then when they turned in their CLT scores, the package was higher. It went higher. And they did about the same on them. But the universities apparently, I don't remember what school this was, but they apparently put a lot more credibility maybe on the fact that you could do well on the CLT. I think either one is fine, though. I mean, just because, we struggle with, like when we do the ITBS, we don't do social studies or science because we study those subjects in a different way than most than would be tested on. And so then people start thinking, are we in a classical education really preparing our students to
And that's
take
actually,
the SAT?
Sarah says that. Would classically educated children score lower on the SAT?
That's right. And they do not,
They
I can
don't,
tell
right.
you.
Because
No,
the SAT is
the
only testing
opposite,
reading
yeah.
and math. I mean,
Right.
that's
It's
all
reading and
doing.
math. That's right. And our students do very, very well. In fact, we've got some of the highest scores in Jefferson County for the SAT. We score very high with just our classical education. But the CLT is just a nice, because it's content based and it's based on content, that supports a classical education.
And I would say also do your research. Like, what college are you going to?
I was just going to say that.
I mean, because I remember when I was a kid, I took the SAT because I was going to a boarding school in New Hampshire in the Northeast. Most everybody was looking for the SAT, but then my sister wanted to go to an engineering school in Indiana, and everybody around there was looking for the ACT. So that's like, so I think she took the ACT. She might have also taken the SAT just to have covered her bases. But what she was getting into college with was ACT. So you just have to figure out
That's true.
what test the university you want to go to
Like
is.
the student took both the SAT and the CLT.
But you can get
and
on
then
the
used-
CLT's website and see all the colleges and universities that accept it now. And it's just about everywhere at this point.
And you can call whatever, if your student's college bound and they're interested in a specific university, you can always call that admissions office.
That's right.
And they'll know exactly.
And when
What's standard
in
for
one
them?
of our meetings we had some college recruiters who were there, and they were talking about this and just saying, that even the fact that you would take the CLT, they felt was a good sign in terms of your acceptance to the college, because because it's seen as a better test by a lot of these people. They don't like dealing with the ACT and SAT
college board.
for a lot of reasons. I mean, there's some politically correct stuff that goes on in there. You're not going to find that in the CLT.
Right.
Sure.
So I think it's got a very, very good reputation. And that reputation, I think, kind of rubs off on the students who take it and report it to schools.
Sounds like it. Okay. Next question. This is from Sarah Beth. And this was a really interesting one. She says, in our homeschool, we love to read the book first and watch the movie adaptation after. I've gotten a little pushback from people about this practice. So she wants to know, what do we think? She says, let it be said, I always pre-watch anything before I put it before my child. So we're not going into these movies blindly. But what do we think about her practice with book first and then giving the children the example of the movie?
I think it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Especially with Shakespeare.
I mean,
I think it can be so helpful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As long as you're reading the book first.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, because a lot of people, I guess, is the alternative to watch the movie first and then do the book, is that
Or
what the
not watch it at
implication
all.
is?
Just not
Or
watch
not
it at
watch it.
all.
Or just
Yeah.
not watch it at all.
Right. But I
Yeah.
think if you like movies
Yeah.
and
Well, and assuming that the movie is a good rendering of it, too, right? I mean,
and
there's
even
some,
if it's not,
Mhm.
then at least you can talk about that. You know, that movie that came out about the Trojan War several years ago. I can't remember who Achilles was, but it was terrible.
Oh, Brad Pitt. Isn't that?
Oh,
are
it
you
was
talking about
Brad
that one?
Pitt. Yes,
Like a long
and
time
it was
ago? Yeah.
terrible. But I took my kids to see it because they had read Homer, and everybody was really excited about it. And it was awful, but it was a great opportunity for us to discuss. The value of actually reading the source, and then rather than somebody else's Hollywood interpretation of it.
That's a good point.
The one hesitation I have of doing this like consistently is the development of imagination. So that's why I think it's important you read the book first before the movie. But the reality is, like, even if you read, this should not be a part of your curriculum, but if you read The Princess Bride and then you go watch the Princess Bride movie, which that's actually an anomaly that they're so very close, but you can never imagine Inigo Montoya in any other way, right? Because of the way you've perceived this on the screen. And so I think that does end up coloring your interpretation. So I would advocate fully engage with the book first, because...
Which is what she said she's done.
It is.
I've never read The Princess Bride. Is it good? And I've never seen the movie.
I've never seen it.
This is one of my...
It's funny.
Very much enjoy it. Oh, no, it's great.
Okay, I'm going to read it maybe.
But
I keep hearing that.
But no,
You've
Tanya,
never seen it?
Okay,
No.
The Princess Bride is a rare one where I say, because it's not going to be in your curriculum, it's one of those that almost the movie is better than the book. But the author was very involved in the production of the movie. And so, like, he did not allow for deviations. So when I went and read the book after I watched the movie, I was like, oh, that's the same thing.
Well, and you have different situations.
But
right?
then why wouldn't I read the book first?
I mean, you could. It's going to be the same
I
thing.
started to read the book, and
the book is
the
not...
way it's written, it's
the book
very
is not
strange.
iconic in the way the movie is.
Right. I would see the movie. I just haven't had a chance. But you have several different scenarios here. You have where the book and the movie are both good. Okay. You have a situation where the book is really good and the movie rendering is not good of the book. Where the book is less good than the movie. And where the book and the movie are almost completely different. Les Mis. You go see the movie, which I love.
The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
They messed that up.
Well, and it's not, but this is a case where they're different. Okay.
Yeah.
The movie is a very different thing from the book. They're really.
Are you saying the movie that's a musical?
Yes, the movie that's a musical. And they're both great, but they're different. Really, they're just different things. Right. So I think in that case, fine, no problem. Go see both of them because they're really different things. But then you have these, let's take Lord of the Rings. Here you have one of the great books. It's on my list of 10 great Christian novels. Not really a novel, epic. And then the movie, it was really good.
It helped me to see the movie
Okay.
first because
okay.
I did see the movies first because you were the
and I made all my
teacher of-
students
that's right.
read the book first, and you apparently didn't.
I did not. Well, I was just chaperoning at that point. I was not your student. And so I saw that I did not want to go see the movies, but I did because my kids wanted to go because you talked them into it and made them read the book. So it was very helpful to me then when I read the books because they are confusing. There's so many characters and so many different
There you go.
crazy things going on.
Or you could do what I did and read books 1 and 2 and quit halfway through 3 because you're so confused, and then go back to it years later and read books 1, 2, 3
and get it.
and get it.
There you go.
Or you
Would not
can
recommend that.
You can have a situation where the movie is better than the book. Okay, so I would say like Pinocchio. Now I love the book Pinocchio, and that may be one that's maybe so different from the movie but the Disney version of Pinocchio, I watched that with my grandkids the other night. It is just magical.
No, it's not. I don't like it.
It is a masterpiece. It's
I
a
totally
masterpiece.
disagree.
No, it totally is.
Okay, so this elucidates why this is actually a decent practice. If you sit and talk about it, you can have those disagreements and then argue from what was in the movie or what was in the story about why this is better, why it's worse, what the experience was.
Yeah. And you're doing it together. She's watching it with her student. She's reading the book with her student and she's watching the movie with her student. I think it's fine.
She also asks, have we heard that Christopher Nolan's getting an all-star cast together to make a rendition of the Odyssey? And I have heard that.
If
We'll
Christopher Nolan
see.
makes it, I'll go
Yeah,
see
it is really interesting
We'll
who he
see.
chose. So we'll see. I don't know where it is in production, but At least Sarah Beth heard about that a couple months ago.
I
So,
did not. That's
yeah.
the first I heard
We'll see
of it.
how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
They did
Oh,
just
that's
come out with
interesting.
another one though. The Return.
I don't
think.
know.
I think it's what it's called.
After Troy, I just am done
Yeah,
with.
it's hard.
I'm done with Homer on screen.
Well, here is our next question from Patricio. She says, since you're doing quick fire mailbag questions,
Yeah. Rapid response here.
Martin mentioned, so this is for you, Martin, a little book on the history of the liberal arts, but I didn't get the title.
Oh, okay. So I wrote that down because I knew we were going to have this question. The book is by Paul Abelson, Abelson, and the full title is The Seven Liberal Arts, A Study in Medieval Culture. That's the name of the book. And I read it on a cruise ship when I was doing an in-service training for teachers.
yes.
You did a training on a cruise ship?
Yes. And I just want it to be known publicly. I can do this again. I had to do 3 talks to the teachers, and it was a 4-day cruise, and I had the rest of the time off. So I read that book on the top deck of the cruise ship on the way to the Bahamas.
The life of
life
Martin.
is tough.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, maybe we can put a link to that book, or at least the title, in the show notes, so Patricio can go back and find it. Perfect.
Now, see there, we
What?
can
That
do
was
it.
rapid fire.
Yeah, we can
Just
do
keep
it.
asking me. I'll give you
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Martin's
right.
going to keep us on track if anything does.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the next one from Kelsey. Kelsey wants to talk about learning languages as an adult, and she says, what course of study or pedagogical method would you suggest for an adult trying to learn ancient Greek? And her follow-up is, do you recommend focusing on New Testament Greek?
Well, okay. So I'm glad you made that distinction because you have really 2 kinds of Greek there. I mean, there's really almost 3, isn't there? Like Homeric Greek
And
is really
classical
different
Greek,
from
New
the
Testament,
Greek
yeah.
of the that we're talking about Plato and all that. And then there's New Testament Greek, which is different altogether. I mean, my approach to things like this is to do the easiest one first, right? And my understanding is that New Testament Greek is easier than the Attic Greek and Homeric Greek. So and that's what I did in grad school. I got a copy of what was his name, the great Reformed Protestant theologian who wrote Introduction to New Testament Greek. I should know his name. J. Gresham Machen. J. Gresham Machen wrote what used to be the standard New Testament Greek text, and I took a course in grad school on this, and our final exam was to translate with no help. Translate a 2nd and 3rd John. So that's what we were able to do by the time that we got most of the way through that book.
Or you could start with first form Greek,
Yes.
which is the Greek grammar,
There you go.
and actually learn the grammar that then you could use with Koine or classical.
Yeah,
You
and
could
that
use
wasn't out when I was at, but that's what I would do now.
And then there's second form Greek, or as an adult, you could go directly to Croy as well, which I don't know is
spelled
Croy
Croy.
Croy,
Oy.
Roy.
Okay, all
But
right.
I don't know if that is. I think that's Koine.
I think it is.
Yeah,
But-
that's
it's
New
Koine.
Testament Greek. It's Koine.
Okay,
The-
and that's the one we sell.
yes.
So we must think that is the best one for younger students.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
we wrote our own, but yes.
Well, right. But I think Croy is kind of like the forms to Henley. I talked to Ian about this. So that Croy would take you faster. What he told me is that Croy will give you a lot of great information about Greek, but it's not really organized in the fashion that, if you really want mastery over Greek, then you would start with first form Greek.
Right.
And the advantage to that is, there's this workbook, it's very laid out, and you're going to master the grammar. But if you as an adult just want to play around with Greek, he recommended Croy.
Right.
to
Well,
do that.
but the one thing I would kind of caution people about is generally like New Testament Greek grammars that are written for like early seminary. They are not teaching you forms that are real forms in the Greek grammar just because they don't show up in the New Testament.
Right. That's what, yes.
And so if it depends on what your goals are, right? If your only goal of learning Greek is to read the New Testament, and you're not going to be an exegetical scholar, so you don't need to know that there's this other possible form that they could have used, then you could go to any, like Croy would be fine. If your goal is to get a good handle on Greek and you would want to test out some, of different eras of Greek, actually first form's going to be better in covering that. And the reality is, I learned Greek with a Mexican priest who wrote his own grammar. And so my Greek actually has a very heavy Spanish influence on the pronunciation. But
you probably didn't know that in the beginning, did
absolutely
you?
not. No,
you had no clue that it was
out
accented.
later, yes.
Oh, that's funny.
But my point being there is like his grammar literally was, here's the declensions, here's the conjugations, here's some syntactical rules you need to know. Okay, once you've kind of memorized all that, and let's start putting it together. That is the basic. I think people get kind of overwhelmed a little bit by like, how do I learn a language? Once you understand those basic building blocks, okay, you need to go master these parts, start putting it together.
And that's going to be easier.
Which sort of like the form series does, only because it does start layering in simple sentences pretty early.
Yeah. And I translated the Gospel of John before the end of high school. Yeah.
That's the way I learned Latin. I've forgotten my Greek now, but that's the way Machen taught Greek. And I just think that it's so logical. And I don't know why anyone would do it any differently. Because with those languages which have those grammar inflections.
Got it. Okay. Next question is from Stephen in Scotland. And by the way, I know Martin likes cruises, but if we ever want to take the show to Scotland, Stephen, we can record.
There you go.
He says, I'm planning to begin teaching Latin at a classical school about to start in Scotland. I'll be using Latina Christiana and have been told that I should follow this with first form Latin. I understand from, he references a podcast episode we did, that there's some overlap between the two books. Could I have some guidance on how to transition from one to the other?
I would, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but well, no.
I would love to.
I don't think she needs your permission. She'll do it anyway.
Yeah, actually, no, you can't correct me if I'm wrong even. But Latina Christiana, I just do Latina Christiana. And then the next step, just go to first form.
That's what he said he's going to do, but he wants to know what the overlap is. So Latina is more gentle and it doesn't do a lot of explaining, but it teaches 2 declensions and 3 verb tenses into conjugation. So it's like half of first form.
And the vocab, right? There's some overlap.
Most of the vocab in first form has already been shown in Latina, right?
That's right. All the Latina vocabulary is in first form, and then we've just added more lessons. And so it is an overlap in some of the grammar forms, but the ideal thing about it is Latina is great for younger students. And then after that, when you move to first form, it's not so scary because that's when it gets really serious because you've already learned 2 declensions. So you're going to review those 2 declensions and then move to the third declension, which is the hardest one. And so it just sets the students up for success because it gives them the foundation that they need not to be afraid of Latin. I really think that's the best use of Latina, is it just kind of sets that once you know one declension, then once you understand how and how a language works, then when you get to that more difficult stuff, you're ready for it.
Whereas if you have an older student, you could start with first form.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
But it sounds like he is starting with Latina, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's what he said.
Yes.
Which is great. That's
and-
great.
Latina will take 2-3 weeks on a declension or a grammar form,
Right.
whereas first form's going to spend 1 week, move on to the next, one week, go on to the next.
Which is how they
And-
do so much more.
That's right. But that also means if you've memorized half of the stuff out of Latina, when you hit first form, you're really like your memory load is lessened because you've already memorized half of it. And so it makes it again more approachable.
Especially with vocabulary, because when we found our second form and third form students just really struggle with review vocabulary. So if you can really master that vocabulary in Latina, then when you get the added vocabulary in first form, you're also reviewing all the vocabulary that was in Latina. And hopefully at least those words will be in their permanent memory. It just is a lot by the time you get 3 forms in. You've learned 450 words. I mean, it's a lot. So am I
it's
wrong?
what it's on average 10 words a week and 35
30.
weeks, so about 300 words a year. So first, second, third
Well,
form.
I think there's review lessons in there, so it's really
There's
probably Latina has 25 lessons.
Yeah.
And first form's probably comparable.
Got it.
Yeah.
But it's still
He's
lots of
definitely
vocab.
on the right track.
Right. That's what it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Well, maybe we try to tackle 1 or 2 more.
Okay.
Okay.
Rapid fire. We've gotten better.
Oh,
You should have not led with philosophy.
Wow, there's a whole there's a
I know there's a
stat.
lot, guys.
We have to do this again,
Okay.
but we have a mailbox now, so we can.
This is a good one. So Eleanor is writing us from England, and she wants to know if there's any chance we can give her a sneak peek into which novels we intend to produce for the British fans. And what she's can you explain what she's referencing?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are selling our curriculum, in the UK, and we are trying to anglicize it for the market. And it's been a lot harder than I ever thought that it would have been to do. It's really hard to get some of the books over here that are published over there, to make some changes. But I don't know yet which, what we have to replace and what is okay as it is. And so I really would have thought we would have made a lot more headway by now than we have. We've spent a lot of time just talking to publishers and trying to figure out how to get these books. Because we do have to replace some, but I also don't know, like Farmer Boy, it's agrarian, but it is also very American.
Yes.
So but when I talk to people
we read
over
a bunch
there,
of British books, so
we read
the
a
British
bunch.
should feel obliged to read a bunch of American
Well,
books.
they all have told me they love Farmer Boy. And so,
Oh, yeah.
it really, I guess it's agrarian.
But do you need Farmer Boy and Little House in the Big Woods?
Well, maybe not. I don't know. But she suggests a couple. And this Little White Horse, she suggests by Elizabeth Gouge. Gouge.
I've heard her name pronounced.
I
Gouge,
haven't.
but,
I'm going to get that because I haven't seen that one. And Frances Hodgson.
Somebody was just commending one of her books to me.
Gouge.
Yeah, she's
okay.
highly regarded by.
Yes, I've
people I
heard her
respect.
name, but I've never read. I don't know that I've read anything by her. But for me, so we are working on it.
Okay.
Her second paragraph here, I think is so important, and so I would like for us to read that. I marked this paragraph because I thought this is exactly what we're doing here. She's talking about, the seriousness of a classical education, and she used some of our resources this year. And she says, I wanted to report how delighted that her students are with the books. We haven't even finished this academic year, but their eyes are shining with anticipation for the next year. I can see they are already standing a little taller, knowing the expectations I have for them. Seeing their reaction has affirmed for me that my children want to know that something great is expected of them. They have some innate sense of their potential, not overinflated, but a longing to be useful, productive, and to know. I think that is beautiful.
Wow. Mm.
And I thought it was so well worded. That's what really stood out to me. Yes, we have failed her because I do not have an anglicized curriculum yet. But this is beautifully written about, to make an apology for classical education and for having high expectations of students and knowing that they will rise to whatever you ask of them. I think the first of the year is a beautiful time to just think about that and reiterate it.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you, Eleanor. We appreciate the question. And we are working on all of the novel changes for our British audience. Yeah. Let's end with Brandy's question. This is one of our, a list that I think we can all contribute to. She says, hello, I'm a Christian school classroom teacher for 6th grade. What are the top 5 things I can incorporate into my students' learning to make it quasi-classical? And then she says, this is really fun. Brandy ends her message by saying, I've convinced my principal to purchase Prima Latina for my students this year. We'll learn Latin together, led by Lee Lowe, who does our videos. Hoping this is only the beginning to full classical, which is exciting,
her.
Brandy.
I wrote my 5 down just like that.
Okay, so 5 things for a 6th grade
more
classroom.
Than 5, but I just did the first 5 that came to my mind.
Okay, what were they?
Are you ready?
I'm not sure, but go ahead.
Okay. So the first one would be, so she's going to purchase Prima Latina, but in the 6th grade, just that focus on derivatives, focus on roots is going to be a great introduction to Latin. Just to focus on where did our difficult words come from. I think that is number 1. Number 2, read fewer books, but read them slowly and contemplate them. Like use our model of 3 to 4 books a year and really contemplate them and have students answer questions about them. And in 6th grade, you can start discussing some higher level things with them, which I would do orally. Number 3, require good sentences, punctuation, and capitalization. Just basic education, require it in every subject. Number 4, know your math facts. Just know them cold. Do a time drill every day. And number 5, traditional pedagogy. Just have, your students facing you, require the raised hand, have a traditional classroom where you can get a lot done because there are no distractions.
That's actually pretty good.
Thank you.
Now I will say I would add one thing there, which is you talked about reading books slowly and all that, but just have a really good selection of books.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's what I would say. And also, I'm not a big roots. I think you learn roots from Latin. You don't learn Latin from roots.
But she's going to do Prima Latina with a 6th grade class, so she can. I'm not saying do a roots course. I'm just saying as she teaches throughout whatever subject, just to keep bringing derivatives back in, which is going to give them the Latin base that she hasn't been able to do.
And I do think that intrigues students, so that when they find out that there's so many Latin words that come, English words that come from the Latin.
Right.
I think that's something that does get to them. I wouldn't have thought that, but they do like that. It's like they're able to unlock something.
So you are actually agreeing with me.
Yeah, somewhat.
And it becomes like a treasure hunt, those derivatives.
Yes, absolutely.
I liked your part about require, proper spelling, punctuation, grammar. I was also going to say like model good writing, have them imitate good writing.
Imitation is very important at this age, especially.
Just learning some great passages, thing like you just talked about that email you had, which had that great,
it was
well written
That's right.
thought. Yeah, I mean, have them memorize some of those things, some of those really great short passages from great literature.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Anything else? Quick fire? What have we missed?
A little bit of classical history. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how it fits.
She can get to it. She can do it as a read aloud, even like one of the famous men books.
Or our history timeline. I think that's one of the best things we've got. The history cards and laying those out so that you can, because people think of things visually, and that I didn't have that when I was in school, but I had kind of constructed it in my own mind. But if I had had that picture in my mind of our timeline and the history of Greece, Rome, the Middle Ages, I would have been a lot better off. So I think that's a great program we have.
Fantastic. Well, Brandy, we know you're going to do a fantastic job, and please follow up with us maybe at Christmas break or at the end of the year and tell us how your year went, because I'd love to know.
Well, I love that she's going undercover as a classical educator, covert in her school that's not classical.
Love it.
I think that's beautiful.
Well, I've seen teachers like that transform an entire school.
Yes.
Really?
Oh yeah, that they start with one grade and then everybody sees how it's working and then they want to expand it out. So kudos to you, Brandy.
You got this. Well, there were lots of questions we couldn't cover, which means we will just have to do this again.
Yes.
So please keep sending your questions. podcast@memoriapress.com.
And fill her mailbox.
That's right. That's right. That's why we got this thing.
Do we really want that many? That is a big mailbox.
All
we
of our
do.
episodes will be mailbox episodes.
That's true.
I mean, it'd be good if they could actually see us and not just the mailbox. But
I don't know. Next time I'm going to put it in front of your face. You'll just hear his voice coming out.
we could just have we could have it reversed. It would the opening would be here. And you just open it up and there would be me.
There would be you. The whole episode answering from
That
the
is
mailbox.
so disturbing.
Well, with that image in all of our minds,
Thank goodness
maybe
we don't
should
use
close
animation.
it out. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next time. Thanks for joining us today on Classical Etc. by Memoria Press. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, or share this episode or comment. We love to hear your questions and your comments. If you want to learn more about Memoria Press, please go to memoriapress.com. This has been Classical Etc. We're so glad you joined us, and we'll see you next time.